College football week number 7 is officially here, and you know what we do, so let's get into previewing and predicting college football week number 7. And there are many games throughout the week. However, the first big game takes place between Colorado and Stanford on Friday night. This game will be played in Folsom Field in Colorado, and Colorado is favored in this game minus 12.5. And it's all due to their extremely high-powered offense, as they're averaging 415 yards a game, while Stanford is only averaging 344. And Stanford's defense not going to be able to shut down Shedeur Sanders, as Colorado will end up winning this game and covering the spread in a 45-21 victory for the Buffaloes. And then kicking off the college football noon games, we have Georgia traveling to take on Vanderbilt. And this game will be played in First Bank Stadium, and Georgia is favored in minus 31.5. Last week was the very first week that the Bulldogs would cover the spread this season, as they'd end up beating Kentucky 51-13. And I think they're going to continue this streak, as their offense is averaging 502 yards a game, and Vanderbilt's defense is not going to be able to stop this, as Georgia's going to end up winning this game 42-7, and they will pick up a huge victory for the Bulldogs. Next up, we have the Indiana Hoosiers traveling to take on the Michigan Wolverines, and in this game, Michigan is currently favored at minus 34. And Michigan has looked extremely good in recent weeks, as they defeated Minnesota 52-10 last week. However, I don't think they're going to be able to cover the spread. Indiana is not that bad of a team, and I think that Michigan will still end up winning, however, in a score of 45-19. Next up, we have another Big Ten matchup, as the Ohio State Buckeyes have to travel to Rose-Ade Stadium to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. And currently in this game, Ohio State is favored at minus 19.5. And last week, Ohio State kind of struggled against Maryland in the first half. However, I think this offense is finally figuring out their stride, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is looking amazing. And he alone will will the Buckeyes to covering the spread, as they will end up defeating the Purdue Boilermakers 45-10. The next 12 o'clock game takes place between the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Alabama Crimson Tide, as Arkansas has to travel to Bryant-Denny Stadium to take on Alabama. And Alabama is currently favored minus 19.5, and I understand why. Alabama has looked awesome, and last week they picked up a huge victory over Texas A&M, while Arkansas is on a 4-game losing streak. And this streak's going to continue, as they're going to end up losing 5, as Jalen Milroe will lead the Alabama Crimson Tide to a easy and comfortable 42-10 victory. And next up at 3 p.m., we have California traveling to take on Utah. This game will be played in Rice-Ellis Stadium, located in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Utah is currently favored minus 13.5 in this game. And as we all know, Utah is without their star quarterback Cameron Rising, who would tear his ACL in the Rose Bowl last season against Penn State, and I honestly don't even think they're going to need him in this game, as Utah's defense is too good for Cal's offense. Utah's defense is playing absolutely amazing this season, as they are only allowing 67 rushing yards a game, and they're going to completely shut down Cal, as they will end up picking up a huge 24-10 victory. Next up, we have UMass traveling to take on my Penn State Nittany Lions in Beaver Stadium, and Penn State is currently favored in this game minus 42.5. This is honestly a cakewalk game for Penn State, as they're just going to try to survive and make sure that no one gets injured heading into their huge matchup next week against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Penn State is coming off a bye, and honestly, they're probably going to rest the starters after the first half in this game, and Penn State's easily going to destroy UMass in a score of 65-7. And next up, we have probably the biggest game of college football week number 7, as the Oregon Ducks have to travel to take on the Washington Huskies in Husky Stadium, located in Seattle, Washington. And Washington is actually favored in this game minus 3. Both of these teams have extremely high-powered offenses, and both of them are 5-0 this season. And this game is honestly going to decide probably who ends up winning the Pac-12 this season. So this game is going to be absolutely crazy, and I'm extremely excited. And both of these offenses are honestly pretty even, as Oregon is averaging 557 yards a game, while Washington is averaging 569. And as we all know, both of these teams have Heisman hopeful quarterbacks in Bo Nix for Oregon and Michael Penix Jr. for Washington. This season, Bo Nix has completed 131 of 163 for 1,459 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 1 interception, while Michael Penix Jr. honestly has looked better, as he's completed 133 of 178 for 1,999 yards, just one short of 2,000, for 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions this season. And both of these teams honestly have extremely good wide receivers, as Oregon's leading receiver, Troy Franklin, has 32 catches for 535 yards and 7 touchdowns, and Rome Dunze, the Washington star wide receiver, has 32 receptions for 608 yards and 4 touchdowns. And this game's honestly going to come down to whose defense can make just one stop in this game. And honestly, I think Washington has a better defense, so I'm going to take the Huskies to win and cover the spread as they defeat the Oregon Ducks 31-27. Next up, we have a pretty big SEC matchup as Texas A&M has to travel to take on Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, and Tennessee is currently favored -3.5 in this game. Texas A&M is coming off a heartbreaking 26-20 loss to Alabama, and honestly, Tennessee is looking pretty good as they defeated South Carolina 41-20, and I think this streak is going to continue for both teams as Tennessee will pick up a huge 24-21 victory. However, they will not cover the spread in this game. Next up, we have a huge 3:30 Big 12 matchup as Kansas has to travel to take on Oklahoma State in Boone Pickens Stadium, and Kansas is currently favored -3.5 in this game. Kansas was looking extremely good this year as they got out to a 4-0 start. However, they would lose a heartbreaker to Texas. However, they would bounce back the following week as they beat UCF 51-22 this week, and Kansas is going to keep this streak rolling as they're easily going to defeat Oklahoma State in a 40-20 victory. Next up, we have a huge ACC matchup as Louisville travels to take on Pitt. And in this game, Louisville is only favored at -8. However, this is not going to be close at all as Louisville is 6-0 and currently ranked number 14 in the AP poll, while Pitt is 1-4 and is coming off a 4-game losing streak. And Pitt's defense is not going to be able to shut down Louisville's high-powered offense as they're averaging 467 yards a game, and they're going to throttle Pitt in a 45-7 victory. Next up, we have the Battle of the Tigers as Auburn travels to take on LSU in Tiger Stadium located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and LSU is favored -11 in this game. LSU, led by Jaden Daniels, has too high-powered of an offense as they're averaging 548 yards a game, and Auburn's defense is not going to be able to shut this down as LSU will pick up a huge 52-10 victory. And then we reach one of the biggest games of the week and the biggest rivalry in college football as USC has to travel to take on Notre Dame. In this game, surprisingly, Notre Dame is favored at -2.5, and I honestly don't understand why. Notre Dame's defense is not going to be able to shut down USC's offense. USC honestly might have the best offense in college football this year, led by their star quarterback Caleb Williams, who has completed 119 of 166 for 1,822 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 1 interception this year, and he is leading USC to a 523 yard per game average, and they're easily going to throttle Notre Dame as they're going to drop a 40 burger on Notre Dame and defeat the Fighting Irish 42-28. Next up, we got the big ACC matchup between Miami and North Carolina. This game will be played in Kennan Stadium located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and UNC is favored at -3.5 in this game. And Miami was looking amazing this season as they got out to a 4-0 start. However, they lost a heartbreaker to Georgia Tech in a 23-20 loss, and this was all due to their head coach, Mario Cristobal. And this was just too big of a heartbreaking loss, and this is just going to lead them into an awful week against UNC as the North Carolina Tar Heels will destroy Miami, as the UNC Tar Heels will cover and win this game in a score of 35-28. And the next game is a huge Pac-12 matchup as number 18 UCLA Bruins have to travel to take on the number 15 Oregon State Beavers. And both of these teams currently have one loss. Currently, right now, Oregon State is favored -4 in this game, and honestly, I think that they will easily cover the spread. Both of these teams have extremely high-powered offense as UCLA is averaging 458 yards a game, while Oregon State is averaging 449. However, what's going to be the difference maker in this game is that Oregon State's quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei, has more experience than UCLA's freshman quarterback Moore. And this game will be close late. However, the experience of the Oregon State Beavers is going to prevail them to a huge victory over UCLA as they will ultimately defeat the Beavers 35-20. And the final game takes place between NC State and Duke, and this game will be played in Wallace Wade Stadium located in Durham, North Carolina. And currently, Duke is favored -4, and they will cover the spread. Their offense is too high-powered for NC State to shut down as Riley Leonard will run and pass all over this NC State defense. And Duke will pick up a huge and much-needed victory as they will defeat the NC State 35-21. So that is it for College Football Week number 7. Make sure to come back for College Football Week number 8 next week.